why are we here today? I think that's the important part. Why are we all here on a Friday evening? We have brought you all together to launch our innovative domestic and family violence awareness program. This has been inspired by the International Ring the Bell initiative. Some time ago, I watched an Indian video by a very illustrious actor, Boman Irani, which said Bell Bajao, and that's what started the whole process in our mind. Bell Bajao means ring the bell, and now it is an international project. We also brought you here not only to see the films, but to provide us with feedback on what we've done and to give us more ideas on how we can do better. We also are raising funds for our vital crisis accommodation shelters. These shelters provide safe and stable accommodation, practical assistance, emotional support to women, but most importantly, provide a sense of hope and connection to women as they recover and rebuild their lives forward towards independence from abuse. So you will all have a chance to help us keep these shelters going, and we need as much help as we can because, as you know, domestic violence and homelessness is really quite an issue these days. And we, through our shelters, are trying to do whatever we can to support. So how can you help us today? You can either buy a raffle ticket. We have some wonderful prizes on the right, and they have been donated by Sinkota Chemist at Parramatta and our MC members and other people who are very much believing in what we do. If you have, you can also scan the QR code that you have on your chair, and you can provide us with some funding through that. So please do take that QR code with you as well and share it with your network so that we can raise as much as we can for this very important cause. I would like to also say that if you have any questions and would you like to know more about our services, please approach one of our staff. You'll see them flitting around in white t-shirts with Immigrant Women Speak Out written at the back. Or you can approach myself or Maria, who's our CEO, and we would be more than happy to guide you through that. I would also like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank our dedicated staff. Without their work and effort, they've been here quite early, setting it all up and going through the whole program. And I would like to thank them very much for the hard work that they do to put it together. Our management committee members as well, thank you so much. And I would like to acknowledge the former CEO, Sunila Kotwal. Sunila, put your hands up, please. Without her initiative and concept and roping us all into it, I don't think we would be here today. Thank you, Sunila, for the wonderful work that you've been doing, and we really have appreciated it. After 43 years, yes, that's how long we've been around. After 43 years, we have grown stronger, bigger. We are ready to keep building our impact. Thank you so much for your support and partnership. We obviously can never do all this alone. So please give yourself a hand and appreciate the work that you do. Please shake hands with your neighbor and say thank you for being here today. Now I would like to hand over to our new CEO, Maria Kissouri, to give more details about our organization. Maria will also provide you with background information on how we intend to use these films in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. Can everyone hear me okay? Thank you. What an honour to be standing here, my first event with Immigrant Women Speak Out, and the first of many, 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 many to come. Thank you everyone for being here. Firstly, I want to acknowledge that we're on Darug land, and I want to pay my respects to elders of the past, present, future and emerging leaders, and in particular thank the Indigenous women who have held a torch and advocated for women's rights for non-Indigenous and Indigenous women across the generations. I've had the privilege of being in this industry for 3 decades and learned so much from Indigenous elders, both local and across Australia actually. So I really want to acknowledge their work in supporting families and fighting a good fight to eliminate violence against women and children. I also want to acknowledge the Indigenous friends in the room and thank them for their teaching. I'm looking at you, Dave. Thank you for your teaching of us and the team, as well as we are here on unceded land, and acknowledge that we always intend to walk alongside and with respect and do no harm but do benefit to communities. With that, I'm hoping just to take a few minutes to let you know a little bit about myself and my role and the organisation, introduce you to our wonderful team and our management committee members who keep us accountable and on track and support the organisation, and also a few volunteers. Obviously, I'm standing here as the CEO, but really I'm just one person amongst a really strong team of mostly women. There are a couple of really strong men supporting us as well. They're in the room as well, and I acknowledge their important work with us. But mostly the women. So I'll start, obviously you know me, I'm Maria, I'm the CEO. This is Samantha. She's our education and employment pathways worker, and without Sam's help, many women would not be able to get the opportunity to actually engage in the workforce. So that's Sam's work. Varsha is our counsellor and did a lot of work putting today together, so thank you, Varsha. We have Jane at reception doing her job. Hello Jane, thank you. Jane is one of our caseworkers as well. And Stella, I can see you. Hello, wave, say hello to everybody. Stella is also one of our caseworkers and doing fantastic work also in primary prevention, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a minute. Mariam sitting next to her, trying to avoid eye contact. Mariam is our longest standing, Mariam and Roxana, who can't be with us today, our longest standing caseworker, and really has held this organisation together for the last 2 decades. So absolute special recognition for you. We also have students and volunteers here. I can see Rup, say hello Rup, and Sarita, Sahar, thank you. And also, Pradivya, I want to acknowledge you as well. You've provided the cupcakes for us today. You're just always there with us in support, and they're delicious. So thank you, team. And just to quickly acknowledge our management committee members, we have Charity, our chairperson, in the front here, and we have Sue, who you've met. Vishali is our treasurer. I would literally be lost without her. Thank you so much. We also have Rabina here and Astrid and Nalika right next to Astrid. Where did Nalika go? Right. So thank you everybody for being here, and just want to acknowledge Sunila as our former EO, who's here tonight as well. You'll hear more about the work that she's done. And Marichu, our sister, is never not too far away. So that's us. We are here to launch films, which we had the privilege of partnering with Euphony Films, and you will hear from Pankaj soon about that project. We'll launch the films. Before we do that, I want to let you know that they do display violence. So for anybody here, if today is not the day for you to watch a video that does include issues of domestic and family violence, but it's okay not to watch if you choose not to today. So that's just the acknowledgement there to let you all know what you're in for. Now, just a bit about our service. I will just ask Sam to highlight here. So you can see we're a small but mighty team. 9 employed staff and obviously lots of volunteers, lots of community community leaders who walk alongside us as well. Despite being small, we've worked with, and this is actually an underestimate, 400 women in our intensive case management support service, which is flexible, takes as long as women need to be able to get back on their feet. And for the women that we work with, that is a much longer support period, because most of the women we work with actually don't have the privilege of Australian citizenship or permanent residency. So it takes a much longer time for women, once they've escaped domestic and family and sexual violence, to be able to achieve that financial independence because of the barriers to do with migration policy. So we obviously are a very multicultural and bilingual team, and so are the women that we work with. So that's just a bit of background. The next one. We really are a women's-based organisation, obviously multicultural, and our objective is to work with migrant women from a range of cultural backgrounds. Our key services are information. We provide a practical support and guidance for women as they navigate and make decisions about their relationship when they are in a relationship that isn't protective and safe, as we all deserve. So the main focus of our work is to provide that practical and emotional support for women based on the goals that they set for themselves to help to achieve a life free from violence and a life that's independent from abusive family members. So that is more complicated than it seems, but also, as Sue mentioned, a big part of our work is providing shelter to 12 women. So we have two homes that house 6 women each, where we actually don't receive funds from the state government to deliver these shelters. Instead, what we do is we fundraise. We partner with other organisations who also provide support. There's a lot of community-based organisations that also support the women that work with us. And we don't get funding from the state government to deliver the shelters, and that's why we're here seeking the support of community and raising awareness about the issues. While women are in the shelter, obviously it's really important, they're homeless at that time. So we really importantly provide that support to the women, really, as I said, to help them achieve their own goals of financial independence and living a life free from violence. And that's the work that the women who've just stood before you and waved to you, that's the work they do day in, day out. It is difficult work, it is a significant challenge, and the team that stand before you show up every single day, and they do so with grace and with commitment. And I guess I can't say enough the strength that's shown by the women in the team to the women that we support and the commitment. So our shelters are usually accessed by women for more than 3 months. Most shelters have a service period of 3 months, but as I said before, the women that we work with really do require extended support periods. So some women can stay with us for up to 9 months if that's what it takes to be able to achieve independence. And many have no income, no work rights, no income support from government services, and so really are in a position where their dignity has been stripped from them as a result of migration policy. So the whole purpose and the origins of our service is to provide that support and also a voice. So one of the things that we all do, and a big focus for myself, is being an advocate and actually sharing with community the reality of the situation that many women find themselves in. Okay, I think. So I mentioned as well, big part of our work, we do receive a little bit of state government funding to do primary prevention work, and Stella's been championing this lately, so shout out to Stella. But we've been doing a lot of work in community, finding a whole range of ways that are culturally appropriate to communicate what a healthy relationship looks like. We will see very soon why that's important. Now, the the film's what we're here for. So just a really brief introduction from me, just so you know what you're in for as well today, because we do need your feedback and your input. So the reason we engaged in the project, as Sue said, actually the champions are in the room, Sue and Sunila and Pankaj and the team really took the opportunity to create the films to raise awareness about what people can do when they're worried about someone who's in a relationship that is unsafe, or they're just not sure, something doesn't seem right. The neighbours, the family member, the sister, we all have them in our lives because unfortunately domestic, family and sexual violence impacts 1 in 3 women in Australia. So 1 in 3 women in their lifetime will be impacted by this. So we all know someone. So the motivation really is, how do we help the community understand what to do when they're worried about somebody? So critical. The videos are for the general community, and so that's where we hope to raise awareness, and they are culturally appropriate and reflective of the local demographic, as you'll see. The change that we hope to achieve is really about helping people understand how domestic, family and sexual violence impacts a person, and that the fact that nobody can do it alone. No one can escape that situation on their own. Really, we all do have a responsibility as citizens, as Australians, to step in and do what we can. So the idea is that what we do is we talk generally with community members when we're launching them. So our idea about how we're going to use the films is that we'll use them as an opportunity, and we'd love your feedback on this as you watch the films as well. Each one is different. We really want your feedback about how would you use this. So if you were in that situation of the upstander, who we see in the videos, what would you do? But also, how can you use the films? If there's some way that you in your community, in your position, in your organisation, is there some way that we can support each other to utilise the films? We've been talking to organisations about that, but we want your feedback as well. And I just want to finish by just sharing my personal experience with my ex-partner, who stalked me 5 years after we had separated, and when I was in a completely different relationship. It wasn't the police. I did go to the police, and the police were helpful, but it wasn't them that made him stop. It was actually the men in his life and some women in his life that actually pointed out to him that he was doing the wrong thing. And they bravely said, "What are you doing? This is not okay. You need to stop. Otherwise, we're going to do something about your behaviour." It was the upstanders in my life that made that violence stop. We all have the power to be upstanders as well. So without further delay, I think I'm going to hand over back to Sue, who will keep us going. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. It is very hard to tell you in a very few minutes the amount of work that goes in this area. There's a lot of work that we do with the policies, with the ministers, with government, a lot of things we hear, but it's very important that we do think about the fact that the immigrant women speak out in shelters like these are at the other end, the end where it's just been too late to do anything about it, and here we are trying to hold their hand and to make them independent and come back to living. So I think it's important that we don't just rely on laws, we don't just rely on the police, we don't just rely on the government, but we as a community have a very important role to play, and that role is never to look the other way, never to look the other way. Because if we look the other way, it's something that can end up in someone's life being lost. So if you see something, please do something about it. And I think that upstander, as Maria said, role is so crucial. And we as a community have a responsibility to make sure that we stand up whenever we see something is wrong. I'd like to also now just acknowledge the presence of Melissa Montero, CEO from Community Migrants Resource Center at Parramatta, Nalika Padmasena, she's on our management committee, but I've had a lot of work done with her on victims of abuse in the past, and Meethu Gopalan, sitting behind very quietly, a lawyer who I always reach out to if I need help, because very often there are legal issues that need to be resolved as well, and she's always been there helping. Thank you so much for being here today. And now, without further ado, I'd like to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Sunil Vyas. So Dr. Sunil Vyas is a long-term general practitioner in Southwest Sydney and has also been involved in community and philanthropic service over many years, and in particular with the Australian Indian community. Apart from his passion of practicing medicine, over the years, Sunil has also participated in teaching medical students and general practice registrars. In the past, he has served as a 3-term president of Australian Indian Medical Graduates Association, AIMGA, and as a 2-term president of Gujarati Brahman Samaj of New South Wales, through both of which he has had the pleasure of being able to carry out various philanthropic activities outside of medicine. He is also the immediate past president of United Indian Associations, having served in that position for the preceding 3 years. Born and brought up in Kenya, educated in the UK, and finally, we are lucky to have him here in Australia, Sunil is very proud to be a member of the multicultural fabric of Australia. Please put your hands together to welcome Sunil.
Thank you, Sujit, for your very generous introduction. I don't know whether I deserve all the nice things you said about me. To be honest, I feel truly humbled that here I am in the presence of real giants. Ms. Advani, Maria, Sunilaji, Mithu, Nalikaji. I know all of them. They are such great people, wonderful people, and I'm proud to say they're my friends as well. So I truly feel humbled to be in their presence, the amount of work they've done. Sunilaji, I'm glad that we share the name Sunila and Sunila, so I'm pleased to have that. So, look, it's actually a real honor to be here at SpeakOut to say a few words, because SpeakOut has been on this space for so many years at a time when this problem wasn't really acknowledged or known about as much, going back to the 1980s, if I'm not mistaken. So this problem is a true epidemic. We know it's an epidemic, but it's also a silent epidemic. And as a general practitioner, it still takes me by surprise what we see and come across. This epidemic applies to not just one category of groups of people or a particular race. It crosses all strata of society. And whether it's a particular race, a particular profession, can be doctors, lawyers, right down to a laborer, who could all be actually perpetrators. And unfortunately, as we know, it's mainly the women who are the victims, and males are there as the perpetrators. We've got to actually keep that in mind, that although it's an epidemic, we still have to work on it. We still have to do something about it. I feel that there's been great work done, particularly groups like SpeakOut have been working for so many years in this field, and in a manner of speaking, they've actually been putting out the fires. Now we've actually come to the stage that apart from, and the fires will still be going on, but apart from putting out the fires, we need to actually be looking ahead to prevent those fires, just like we do with all our natural fires as well. That stage is very important, because that's the only way we'll be able to control the epidemic. Having said that, it's not very easy to do that, because as I said, it's both a silent epidemic and a very widespread epidemic. That's also colored by the fact that family and domestic violence is affected by cultural and social factors, which are very, very intransigent. And that takes generations to change cultural and social values and beliefs. Across the world, there are patriarchal views, chauvinistic views. Those types of things take a long while to change. So having said that, we should still take one step at a time. And I'm actually very delighted that this new initiative about these movies, I'm looking forward to seeing what the movies show and see what it portrays. But that's another step in the right direction to looking ahead to see what we can do in this space. Coming from an Indian subcontinent background, you would have seen various different effects of that. One of the things which are the progenitors of domestic violence is dowry issues. Again, that goes back to the cultural issues. It's not a religious issue, it's a cultural issue. But that type of cultural intransigent behavior is going to be very hard to change. But let's still make an effort to change that. We need to do that with education. We need to do it in various different ways. I'm not too sure how we can do it because this is an international, national, community and an individual level problem. So if we can start to tackle it at each of those states would actually be helpful. My current and new worry is that with the current climate of situation going on in Australia, the anti-migrant feelings going on, one prominent leader is has come out and said that she is against multiculturalism, which is such a shame because I'm so proud to be Australian and I'm so lucky to be here. And here is somebody who just wants to go back to the monoculture where it's not going to change things, but we as multicultural Australians still need to speak out and don't let our problems be taken over by such people, and including family violence, because it affects everyone. But we are there to actually contribute and play an important part in overcoming those problems. So going back to these issues politically, it does affect us, and I'm concerned that it will actually increase the level of domestic and other violence. We know that in the pandemic, there was an increased rate of family violence through the lockdown situations. But this new issue is, I'm sure, going to lead to more problems coming along across the board. So that's one of my current concerns. From an individual perspective, as a doctor, I serve in an area which has a lot of multicultural origin peoples. Not that many Indians, to be honest. So, but having said that, you see the same problem. It affects everyone. This violence, controlling behavior, that's there in everyone. I can give you an example. Just last week, I was talking to a lady. She actually came to talk about menopause issues, but exploring that further, I found that she was actually living in a house with a husband and a grown-up son, and they had such controlling behavior, and she's from an Italian background, origin. And yet, she quite happily accepted that. That was this chauvinistic, patriarchal attitudes. So she was expected to do everything. Yet, everything in the house, plus going out to work. And yet the husband expected her to be doing everything. Which, even when I tried to educate her about it, it was actually quite difficult because it was such ingrained, such views. Another person comes from a different Mediterranean background. And she's in such a difficult situation domestically, both violence-wise as well as severe controlling behavior. And she's also having to gradually acclimatize to this, but again, I'm giving her space to gradually come out, because this situation, you just can't say that you're in trouble, just come out of it. These victims, I tell you, they're actually so suppressed. It's very difficult, even when we actually tell them and support them, for them to actually come out of it. Surprisingly and coincidentally, just today, I saw one of my long-term patients. I've seen her for about 10 years for various medical conditions, and she's an Australian Caucasian origin patient. And she's actually came in with a situation where violence has been going on in every single way. She ticks all the boxes about family violence, financial control, sexual harassment, physical violence, and in every single way. So that was, the reason I give that example is that it was actually shocking to me. I hadn't recognized it, that she was under such duress. And this is a lady who's actually an extremely intelligent, highly educated person who's actually worked at high levels in human resource. So you would expect that she would know about this, but she wasn't able to speak out. Such is the problem. She couldn't speak out from this man who would actually control her to the extent that even having a shower, he would actually be watching her. And I said, what the heck, why would she want to be there? We said, to make sure that I was cleaning myself adequately. That degree of control. It was shocking to me because when I used to see her in consult, he would often be there, and I thought, what a caring, sensitive, new age guy, that he's here because she's come for medical problems and he's there. But that was his controlling behavior. He had to be there to actually watch and see what we were saying. Even he controlled her in various other ways. I don't want to go into that in case if I breach any confidentiality. But the point I want to make is that it's hidden in that we don't actually see it. And we need to actually be alert to this type of things, from subtle behaviors, from how a person is acting, how they are indirectly asking for help. We need to be alert to that. So that if me as a professional could actually recognize it straight away, and I was truly surprised when at the degree of domestic violence that she was suffering from, that we should actually be looking at ways of how to recognize that. Just coming back a step, I'm really proud that you actually invited me here, because I can see there's very knowledgeable people, and in this type of space, we always see lots of women, but they are committed, is to, like talking to the converted. What I'm glad to see is there's quite a few men here, and that's the more important thing we need to actually reach out to. In fact, during my term as UAE President, I was very proud to host United Indian Association's Women's Day programs, and that was one of my highlights, that I was actually trying to highlight the fact that men should be there. It's not a women's thing. It's everyone's job. The fact that domestic violence occurs, that's actually, it's not your problem, it's my problem. I'm a male. I have a mother, I have a wife, I have a sister. Sadly, I don't have a daughter. I would have loved to have one. That's my biggest regret in life. But it affects all of us. So if we as males are affected by that, by having the love of those females in our lives, we can't actually say that domestic violence is not our issue. It is our issue. Let's try and work back on all these patriarchal, chauvinistic attitudes. I'm ashamed to say I had views which are very chauvinistic. Going back to my university days, I'm very ashamed to say I actually made a very sexist, chauvinistic, derogatory remark about a sort of person we knew. And I was walking to uni with my very close friend. And you know, he pulled me up on that. That's when I was staggered to think, hang on, where was I coming from? What did I? It's always stayed with me, and I'm still ashamed of that, but at least it made me think differently, and I'm much more open to be respecting womanhood and not making such chauvinistic remarks. So on that note, let's see what the films say, and I look forward to that, certainly, and take it on from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vyas. And Yes, I'm very proud that you were three-term president of United Indian Association. I'm proud and honored to say that it was an association that I founded more than 30 years ago. I was myself the first female president of that association, and it's wonderful to see that the traditions and the intent of that association are still being carried through. So thank you for doing that. Thank you so much also for bringing up the very important fact that very often domestic violence is in front of us, but we don't see it. And that's something that once I had a forum with Parramatta Council on domestic violence, and the thing that came up from all the audience was that first people that we meet are the doctors, are the hairdressers, are the priests, are the families, are the association members that we meet. And if we educate everyone on what are those signs, then it will be addressed and identified very quickly. So I think it's very important, and we've raised this many times, but I think there's a lot more education that needs to go through that part, is to understand. And because very often we don't realize it, and now the fact that we want to talk about today is that not only the doctors and the priests and the hairdressers, it's very important the community, the neighbors. We have friends, we have family. We need to understand and be aware of what are the triggers, what are the signs, so that we can actually address it quickly and get help rather than wait for them to end up in one of the shelters. Talking about shelters, as we said, one of the very important part today is fundraising. We have wonderful raffles, and we also have the scan code for you to donate directly. $10 each, it's not very expensive, the raffles, 3 for $20. Every dollar will go to a very important cause. So please be generous. Please buy the raffle tickets, and we will draw them a little later. I'd also just like to acknowledge Bernadette, who's sitting there very quietly. She's been a very good partner of mine. And together we raise a lot of these issues at International Women's Day events. Thank you, Bernadette, for your support. Baronia Multicultural Services, they're doing a wonderful job. And that's Dr. Darshini, sitting quietly there from Auntie's Fund. Thank you so much, because they have helped raise funds for Immigrant Women Speak Out as well. So thank you for doing that. Like I said, every dollar helps. Without further ado, I know we are running late because we started late, but never mind. It is important that we do talk about these issues. I would like to invite Maria to introduce Pankaj, who has been the key person behind the films.
Yeah, so thank you. So we had the privilege of partnering with Euphony Films to produce these short films, so 4 of them. Hopefully there'll be more in the future. We are looking forward to your feedback. So Pankaj is obviously the director. You also do some acting, I believe. I think I've seen that. And really assisted us to work together to produce the scripts, to recruit and I guess orientate and prepare the cast, and to put the films together. And I just want to say a special thank you, because he also put up with me coming in a bit later and having some different ideas, and took that on with grace, and we really appreciated that, and I think we've got some really great outcome out of that. I do want to introduce, let Pankaj introduce the films himself, but one thing that we're going to ask you to do is, after each film, just take a few minutes, it's 4 really quick questions, just to answer and give us some feedback, because it's really important. We have you in the room, you're our community partners, you're our friends, and we would love to hear from you about how you think we could utilise the films, what you think about them, and then we'll take that feedback on when we're doing the implementation. So after each film, we'll take a little moment to pause, get your feedback, and then move into the next one.
Before I begin, I would like to sincerely thank all the speakers who have spoken so passionately today about family violence prevention. Your insights, experiences, and wisdom have not only raised awareness, but have also empowered us to be part of the change needed to build safer, healthier, and more respectful communities. My name is Pankaj Upadhayay. I'm a Sydney-based filmmaker and founder of Euphony Films. I create films that raise awareness about domestic and family violence, gender-based violence, LGBTQI topics, inclusion, missing people, drink driving, and youth empowerment. I believe stories can start conversations, change attitudes, and inspire action. When SpeakOut approached us to create the Step In, SpeakOut campaign, what stood out was its simple but powerful message. These films are not about heroes or dramatic rescues, The show every day, people doing small but meaningful things. A neighbor ringing a doorbell, someone asking, "Are you okay?" offering a kind word or showing concern. Through these short films, we wanted to show that domestic and family violence often happens behind closed doors. Sometimes, even a small interruption can create a moment of safety, support, or reflection. The message is simple: we all have a part to play in building safer communities. In many migrant and multicultural communities, privacy is highly valued. People may hesitate to get involved. These films remind us that we can show care and compassion while still respecting privacy. If something does not feel right, there is always a safe and respectful way to check in. I sincerely thank the SpeakOut visionary team, Advani, Sunila Kotwal, Kissouri, Samantha Lim and Matthew Hasjim for their trust, guidance and commitment throughout this campaign. I also thank the Euphony Films. Kindly stand up to be acknowledged for your passion, please. Suman Mathur, Sanjay Bhatnagar, please stand up. Please wave. Let everybody see you. Please stand up. Suman Mathur, Sanjay Bhatnagar, Divya Behl, Sanmeet Anand, Mittal Bhavsar, Munish Arora, Limcy Sunil, Tashelle, Natasha and Mamta, whose hard work and creativity brought these stories to life. Thank you. After watching each film, please take a moment to complete a short survey with 4 questions. Your feedback will help us understand how these films can support community education. Thank you for being here, for watching and for helping share this important message. Step in, speak out. Together we can help stop violence before it starts. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm sure these videos have raised important issues in your mind, and we hope that these are just a small snippet of what goes on and how we need to. We could talk about this, we can talk about statistics, we can put them up on the board, but I think a small video like this can very often send a very important message. And the message that we are trying to get out is step in, speak out. It's very, very important that we do, so that we are preventing a situation where it gets out of hand and someone is seriously hurt. Just if I can invite Dr. Sunil Vyas back, please. If you can give us a few words about what is the impact of these films and from the community perspective. Thank you.
I'm still allowing it to sink in. Congratulations to SpeakOut for taking on this venture, and I think it's definitely very much needed, this type of projection about the domestic violence. Each and every movie, as I saw it, presented different types of abuse, and I'm sure there'll be more to actually come as well. But it's interesting, like in my talk I mentioned that so far you're putting out the fires. Next step we need to actually be looking at preventing those fires, and this is one of the major things which will actually help that, because now we are actually taking the onus on other people as well to actually speak out and do something about it. So that's a big plus in the prevention aspect as well of further damage from domestic violence. Each movie actually projected different things. Going back to the first one about the son, it just even watching it, I'm sure it made your blood boil. The way he actually was talking to his mother, especially coming from an Indian background. We would like to think that we don't have that, but actually looking at lots of Indian news media in the last few years, I've seen increasing amounts of how the elderly have been literally beaten up for the sake of money and all that. There was an extended form of that we saw recently, just last week or so, when the gentleman, the teacher from Melbourne, was actually murdered in India, and it's all through greed and money. The same applies to children who are actually pushing out their elderly, literally beating them up. So it's just horrifying. So that makes a good point, and congratulations, Sumanji, for actually superb acting there. That one and the other one, but you came across as a very friendly neighborhood lady. So that was very confronting. The gentleman with the trash can as well, that was pretty shocking, the way he was actually talking to the wife, and the young daughter looking over the side. You could see the impact it would be actually having on the young girl as well. So that was a very important aspect. I probably would beg to differ slightly in the approach the neighbor took that, because this was a situation where you could see, obviously the man was very domineering, intimidating. He was in all sorts of ways. He was actually mistreating the wife. And then just in front of him to come and confront them could actually be potentially dangerous. In fact, when she goes back inside the house, he may actually beat her up as well, or confront her more. So that's some point I would like to make. But most definitely, the way he approached it was very gentle, very nicely done. But just looking over the fence the next day, he could say that, look, I've seen all these things. Here is a number for respect. Please do contact them. I really think you actually need help. And that's when she definitely would take it up. Because in my experience, domestic violence, women do find it hard to, even when they know there is a problem, they find it hard to get out of that. So when somebody does reach out, it'll be an additional step towards them reaching out as well. So definitely. The third movie was the couple after the shopping. You could see that man was obviously gaslighting her and really undermining her, and you could see that the woman was so defensive, and it was so nicely done. In a friendly manner, the neighborhood lady comes along and says, oh, I know you and all that. So that was very nicely done, and yet she was reaching out, giving a lot of information, said there's a neighborhood community center, come and see me, we can talk and all that. So she reached out in a few different ways for giving help as well. So that was wonderfully done as well. The last one, very upsetting, very distressing, fantastic acting by both actors. So, but still so horrifying when you see that, the way he actually portrayed it. But that's, when we think about it, a woman would probably be going through that. We know about the issues, but that's how she would be seeing it. The rage in his face, how he portrayed that was so true. And the fright she had, literally, that's how she would be shaking. And yet, on the outside world, she would coming along, hiding all the bruises and all that. So, very frightening. Again, when somebody came and rang the doorbell, that was fantastic. And somebody reaching out, that's great. I don't know in reality how easily that would happen, because a lot of this is hidden, but I think we can guess that somebody's perpetually hiding bruises, always saying, oh, I had recurrent falls and this injury and all that. So we can reach out to them that, look, we think something's going on as well. So that's when maybe the next day at the office somebody could say that, look, you actually got this bruise, what happened and all that. Fine if you don't want to talk about it, but I can wonder what's going on. But then they know that people do notice and understand, but please reach out and ring this number. There's also, particularly when there's severe physical violence, I think the police are a lot more tuned into it these days as well. So you can say that they'll actually be there to help you as well, because they're still too frightened and too intimidated to actually leave, even when they know bad things are going. So just a few different comments, but I must congratulate all the actors, the producers, done a fantastic job. And as I said, so far you're doing all these problems, trying to deal with the individual problems when they come to you, but now this is reaching out to the community and in all aspects. Where I think we need to raise a question of which community forums and how to actually distribute these movies and all that, which is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vyas. This is exactly the type of conversation you've just demonstrated for us, exactly the type of conversations we want to have when we show the films. Rather than them being publicly available and assuming that people get the message, actually our intention is to be in community, having the conversations with people with the expertise and the community leaders that are already doing this very challenging work, and there are many of you in the room but also in community, and that is exactly our intention. So thank you for demonstrating that. I'll just hand it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Vyas, for those comments, and we are really looking forward to the feedback on the QR codes, because the more we learn from you, because you are the people who are in the community and you are working in the coalface, the more we will learn, the better we will be able to deal with this. It takes a lot to get something like this going, but the first of it starts from the concept and the initiative. I'd like to invite Sunila Kotwal, previous CEO of Immigrant Women Speak Out, who started the conversation to get this going, applied for the funds, and got us the thoughts and the concepts. So, Sunila, please come forward. This is completely unexpected. I meant to surprise you. See, we have been as Dr. Vyas said, we have been supporting women, or we have been supporting women when they fall off the cliff. But what happens to the person who pushes them? Who talks to him? And who can talk to him? People around him can talk to him. People who know him can talk to him. Because neighbors, people living on the street, they know each other. Confronting a stranger suddenly is risky, can be risky to a person who confronts. But neighbors and society can play a part in this. Primary prevention is as much, if not more important than secondary prevention, which is what SpeakOut is expert in. And that's what led to the idea of bringing these primary prevention initiatives into SpeakOut. And with the background in White Ribbon, as Sue just mentioned, which is mainly a primary prevention organization, it was really apt to combine the primary and secondary prevention together. We were lucky to get the funding to do this because we have great ideas, but we can't pretend to do anything without money. So since we got the money, we were able to do that. And then Maria carried it forward after I left. So thank you, Maria. It has come out really, really well. Thanks a lot. Sunila, we can't let you go without a little acknowledgement. Thank you. I'd like to invite Suman Mathur, please. A lot of this work is done on a volunteer basis, and to bring these emotions out, the time, the effort that goes. Thank you so much, Suman. Please stay here. Limcy Sunil. Yes. Turn the screen off. Samantha, do you mind turning off the computer?
The projector screen. The projector screen. Just turn it off.
Just the projector. Yes. Sunil? Limcy Sunil. Thank you. Mittal Bhavsar.
Look here.
The angry husband, not that angry at the moment. See, intervention helps. You're not angry anymore. No. Divya Behl. Upadhayay. Samantha Lim. Pankaj Upadhayay, of course. And the wonderful strength behind Pankaj, Mamta Upadhayay. Natasha Upadhayay. It's always a family effort, you see. It all works together. And last but not the least one here, Sanmeet Anand, who was the husband who acted so well. In fact, we actually had to cut one of the scenes off because it was so good.
Make a small, yeah. So the shorter ones can come over, and I can give my phone to Neha. So
I can sit down if you want.
Anjali, Ajay, Natasha, Tashelle. Okay. So Auntie, and so Aunties come here in the center. Maria, please go there in the center. Yeah. Sumanji, all right.
Come in the middle, come next to me, come.
Anybody missing from the cast and crew?
Anyone hiding?
Anyone hiding?
Thank you, Neha. Okay.
Thank you.
Please put your hands together for everyone. I'd also like to remind you while we're going through this process is that raffle tickets are up. Please. I'd like to invite Dr. Vyas. Please come and accept. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, we'll give them a couple of minutes to get the rabbit. Yes. Okay. Yeah. We've got some food there, please. You need to be here to please help yourself. Is that you, Juliana? I see second part. Hi, Juliana. Another very important person in this whole scene, doing a lot behind the scenes always. Thank you. The first time I was in touch with Immigrant Women SpeakOut was Marichu, the first person I met, a long-serving member. She's still here. She can't go very far.
Please also take these flyers with you with a QR code to encourage your friends to also donate online. Benjamin, please come forward. Councillor for Blacktown Council. We are in Blacktown Council rank. Yes, okay. It's also his ward. So can we request you to do the honor of drawing the raffle?
The second draw is green D45. Congratulations, Jack. The next draw is blue D06.
Wonderful.
Congratulations, Melissa. The next draw is red, color red, A01. Red A01.
Wonderful.
Our best actress.
No, I'm accepting on behalf of somebody who's gone to the loo.
Congratulations.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
The next draw is ticket colored blue D36. Blue D36. Congratulations.
The
Blue 36. Nobody's there. Read row.
Oh, wonderful. Come.
Congratulations.
Where is the switch? Okay. Get closer.
So funny.
Three more. Four more.
Two more left. The next draw is ticket color blue D13.
1-3.
Blue D13.
Congratulations, mate. Can I have the flowers and easier to take home? Because I don't know the
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's it. And last lucky one.
The last lucky one is ticket color green D54.
5-4.
Green D54.
Read row. Read row.
Oh, it's good. It's so good.
Ticket color green D13. 13.
I think that's
Congratulations. Congratulations to all our winners and thank you for supporting SpeakOut.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you all for taking the time to come here. And don't forget, step in, speak out. Please take these flyers home with you and encourage your friends to donate directly online. And we have
Make
the
some
next
donation
survey
to
as
us.
well. Is that the QR code coming on now?